Avoid these common legal mistakes and errors to make sure you save your business lots and lots of time and lots of money. So I like to do these videos sometimes after I've been dealing in court, or today I was at a mediation for 6 hours over a business dispute with another individual, and it reminds me how important these mistakes are. They aren't things to worry about later. They're not things that only happen sometimes. Unfortunately, the world is quite litigious, and people sometimes feel wronged. In the case of my mediation, I think this person was not actually wronged, but looking to try to get a money grab, and some of these mistakes play a role in opening that opportunity. So what we want to do is shore up as much of this legal stuff as possible so you can build your business and not worry about it. So I'm going to run through 10 mistakes that, if you shore up now, can help avoid these problems. The first one is not choosing an entity or the right entity. What does that mean? An LLC or corporation. As long as you're getting that liability shield from a lawyer's perspective, I'm happy with you. We recommend, when in doubt, just go with an LLC. You can click here to file one on Drafted Legal. Just make sure you get in one and get that liability protection. What it does is it protects your personal assets from your business. So in the dispute I had today, there was an entity. So if things go poorly, it just stays within the business. So it's just the business being sued, not the individual. Next one would be forgetting about taxes. So particularly Pure Cup, if you're in your first year here, whenever you pay yourself, if you're paying yourself distributions or dividend, let's say you're writing a check for $5,000 out of your business, set aside 25% of that, because you're going to owe money on it at some point. See an accountant or CPA, bookkeeper, someone who can coach you through the best way to file your taxes, and that's a good bang for your buck, because they're usually going to save you a lot of money even though you are spending it. The third one is having a plan. Failing to have a plan. You got to have a plan. This doesn't mean you got to have a 20-page, SWOT analysis or whatever they call it, but just have an idea of how your business idea is going to turn into a profitable business, not just a hobby, not something that doesn't make money. How you can deliver what you want to deliver, a service or products, whatever, at a profitable way. This next one is super important. It's handshake deals with partners. So if I'm in business with another individual, let's say Facebook, there's obviously the big dispute with the twins and Zuckerberg, and it was kind of like, well, it turned into a very costly litigation matter and a very costly settlement. Now shrink that down to something smaller, less than Facebook. We see it all the time in the law firm we run, and it's people are working together and who owns what percent, who's supposed to do what. The most common thing we probably see is one person's putting more effort or more money, more time into the business, whereas the other person is perceived to be riding their coattail. So what you want to do is get an operating agreement that talks about what happens in different scenarios. It discusses who owns what, how to spend money, what to do with money, and things like that. On the same vein, not documenting agreements with your clients. So I recommend you go to our legal document playlist, and we talk all about how to get agreements. You can, of course, go to Drafted Legal to get pre-made templates that are written by lawyers that make your life a lot easier, and make sure you're thinking through everything to protect your business. How do you get paid? What happens if a client's poaching your clients or talking bad about you online? All sorts of things are thought through in these agreements. So make sure you get the deal that you have with your client, written down and get it signed. At a minimum, get it in an email. We really like to see it signed, because what happens if there's a dispute? Well, you got to be able to explain what the deal was to a judge or mediator or whoever. What better way is there to explain it than to say, Judge, this is the deal, here you go. Otherwise, it's going to say, oh, well, the deal is this. And then the other person can say, no, that's not the deal. So you get a nice, crisp presentation of what the actual deal was. Conflict, this is the next mistake, is kind of ignoring employment laws. So when you're paying an employee or a contractor, make sure they are a contractor or employee. The world of employment laws gets harder the bigger your business is, because there's more and more employment laws in play. for now, watch our video right here on just the general gist of employment law so you know what to look out for. The next one, for anyone who's currently working in a business and thinking about opening up the same type of business, potentially a competing business, it is really important that you do that the right way. Look at the non-compete. Make sure that you are not violating anything when you do it. Next would be infringing on intellectual property. You need to understand what tools you have in your belt on how to protect your own intellectual property and avoid infringing on that intellectual property. Watch this video here, trademarks and copyrights, everything you need to know to have those tools in your belt. Insurance, so depending on your business, if you are in a high-risk business, get some insurance. It's usually not terribly expensive, and they will provide coverage. You know, the people who should be thinking about that, if you're in health, fitness, you know, you're looking at physical injuries, if you have a storefront, that sort of thing, a product, some way where someone could be injured, particularly catastrophically, you want to have coverage. Compliance, failing to have the licenses and permits. So just know what, some states you might have to be get a license, like a real estate agent has to get a license, a lawyer has to get a license, and sometimes there's physical personal trainers have to get licenses. So make sure you don't get dinged on something like that. The last one I have is maybe the biggest mistake is being a jerk. Don't be a jerk to people. If something's going wrong, sit down, try to treat them fairly, figure out what you can do to resolve it, and if you can, do that. Make sure you're not sending that. We call it the 24-hour rule. You know, someone might be being nasty to you or online or to one of your employees or someone in your office. Just don't hit send on that nasty email. Try to treat everyone kindly and try to find a resolution that works for both of you. You know, I always tell clients from our law firm, there's always time to draw the line and saying later, meaning we can get tough later on if we have to, but let's at least start out and say, hey, how can we get this resolved? It will make your life a lot easier. The more you can resolve up front, the better your life will be. All right, that was a pretty dense list, but some days will apply to some of you, not everybody. Get more free information from draftedlegal.com, and I hope you build a solid business and help serve your audience and your clients extremely well. So best of luck.